There is a strange psychological truth about control. The more uncertain your life feels, the harder your brain tries to control it. And sometimes, that need for control is exactly what makes you feel powerless. You wake up and immediately think about your responsibilities, your job, your money, your relationships, your future, the things you said yesterday, the things you should have said, the things that could go wrong tomorrow. And somehow, even when nothing terrible is happening right now, your mind feels like it is fighting a war. Welcome to Brain Reset. Today, we're going to uncover why you sometimes feel like everything is slipping out of your control and the darker psychological mechanism hiding underneath that feeling. Because here's the part most people don't realize. You may not actually be losing control. You may be trying to control things that were never controllable in the first place. Think about your life for a moment. You can control whether you prepare for an interview, but you cannot completely control whether someone hires you. You can communicate honestly in a relationship, but you cannot control another person's feelings. You can take care of your health, but you cannot control every outcome. You can work hard, but you cannot control the economy, other people's decisions, timing, luck, or the future. And yet your brain constantly tries to calculate all of these variables. Why? Because uncertainty feels dangerous. Psychologists have studied something called intolerance of uncertainty. Essentially, the tendency to experience not knowing what will happen as threatening. And recent research continues to find a strong relationship between intolerance of uncertainty, worry, and anxiety. This creates a dangerous loop. Something is uncertain. Your brain says, figure it out. So you think. Then you think about the possible consequences. Then you imagine another possibility, then another. And eventually, thinking stops being problem solving and becomes mental surveillance. You're constantly checking your life for something that might go wrong. And here's the dark part. Your brain can mistake worrying for doing something. You aren't necessarily solving the problem, but because you're thinking about it constantly, your brain gives you the feeling that you're taking action. You replay the conversation. You check the message again. You imagine every possible outcome. You search for more information. You create backup plans for your backup plans. And for a few seconds, you feel safer. But the uncertainty hasn't disappeared. So the brain learned something dangerous. Whenever I feel uncertain, I need to think more. That can turn worry into a habit. And now your brain isn't just responding to uncertainty. It's training you to fear uncertainty. This is where the psychology of control becomes even more interesting. Research on the illusion of control has found that people can sometimes perceive themselves as having influence over outcomes that are actually uncontrollable. And under stress, that desire for control can become even stronger. In one experiment, highly stressed participants preferred situations that created a greater perception of control, even when that control was essentially illusory. Think about what that means in everyday life. When you're stressed, you may start controlling tiny things. Your schedule, your environment, your phone, your routines, other people's behavior, the exact way something should happen. And when reality doesn't cooperate, you become even more frustrated because your brain isn't just dealing with the original problem anymore. It's dealing with the loss of control over the problem. That's why someone can have a relatively ordinary day and still feel completely overwhelmed. There's another darker phenomenon. It's called learned helplessness. The basic idea is disturbing. When someone repeatedly experiences situations where their actions don't seem to change the outcome, they can eventually stop using control even when control becomes available. In simple terms, if your brain repeatedly learns nothing I do matters, eventually it may stop asking, what can I do? And start asking, why bother? That is one of the most dangerous psychological transitions because helplessness doesn't always look like giving up. Sometimes it looks like procrastination. Sometimes it looks like emotional numbness. Sometimes it looks like constantly saying, that's just how my life is. Sometimes it looks like having opportunities right in front of you, but feeling too mentally exhausted to use them. And this is why feeling out of control should not automatically be interpreted as weakness. Sometimes it's a learned response. Your brain has been collecting evidence, and eventually it starts predicting the future based on your past. But here's the good news. Your brain can learn control too. The solution isn't to control everything. That's impossible. The real skill is learning to separate what you can influence from what you cannot. Try this. When something is bothering you, ask yourself 3 questions. What is completely outside my control? What can I influence? And what is one action I could take right now? That's it. Not 10 actions, not a perfect plan. One action, because control becomes powerful when it becomes specific. You can't control whether everyone likes you, but you can control how honestly you communicate. You can't control whether your future goes exactly according to plan, but you can control what you do today. You can't control what happened yesterday, but you can decide what you do with what happened. And slowly, something changes. You stop spending all your mental energy trying to control the entire world and start directing your energy toward the small part of the world that actually responds to you. That's real control. Not controlling everything, knowing what deserves your control. So the next time your life feels completely out of control, pause. Don't immediately ask, how do I fix everything? Ask, what am I trying to control that was never mine to control? That question can change the entire direction of your thinking, because sometimes peace doesn't come from gaining more control. Sometimes peace comes from finally letting go of the illusion that you needed control in the first place. This is brain reset. If this video made you understand something about your own mind that you had never noticed before, don't just watch the next video. Subscribe to Brain Reset, because your brain doesn't always need more motivation. Sometimes it needs a reset. And if you know someone who is constantly overthinking, worrying, or trying to control everything around them, send them this video, because they may not need to hear, stop worrying. They may simply need to understand why their brain is doing it.